Okay, real talk. I don't know how this happened. Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizardly Reads. And as always, guys, I am Andrew. And today, I've got my June 2023 book haul here for you. But before we get into this book haul, please like this video and subscribe to the channel, as it does help the channel grow. And you can check the description box down below for all my ridiculous number of links to my Patreon if you want to help support what I do, links to the Wizardly Duo Discord if you want to chat, engage in buddy reads, just talk books on a daily basis, links to my Pango Books if you want to buy books that I got rid of to then help support me buying all of these books, which is what kind of happened this month. Anyway, all those links are right there, Twitter, Instagram, all that nonsense. And yeah, this is a book haul large enough that I'm actually going to have to skip the digital section and probably just tack that on to next month's book haul, because I think I've got around 40 books here to talk about, and a variety of things happened. Basically, I did a bunch of unhauls and then listed them on my Pango Books. Like I said, you can find the link in the description if you want to check those out. And then people bought those books, and so then I had money to spend on Pango Books, which I then bought books on Pango Books to fill in gaps in the collection. And then other things happened. We were downsizing my mother-in-law's house, and she had a lot of books, and a lot of those were classics. And a lot of those were classics I was interested in. And so those were kind of basically free books. Whether or not I keep and read them all is kind of up in the air. One that you'll see I unhauled at Half Price Books, but then bought a better copy because I was intrigued. And yeah, so we should just kind of jump on into this madness. We're going to start with the section I'm going to lovingly title Mike from Mike's Book Reviews Fault. This is all his fault because these are books Mike made me buy. He didn't make me do anything. I'm an adult. I can make my own decisions. But I'm going to blame him. And we're going to start off with a Stephen King, because I blame Mike for my love of Stephen King. And he's going to be like, I don't have a problem with that. Which you shouldn't, Mike, because thank you. We have got The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. It's a short one. I got this one off of Pango Books. And yeah, I really have been getting back into King. And, there was a Stephen King read-along last year that kind of burned me out. I read like 6 King books in a month, which is way too much. And so I'm finally back in the groove. And this is a shorter one, and I've heard it's really creepy, but also, like, really good. And so I wanna know what this one's about, so I decided to pick that one up. And, yeah, it's that smaller kind of size, and I understand it's a smaller size because it's such a short book, but I'm interested to see what that one's about. I then picked up The Road by Cormac McCarthy. Now, this was also because the author has since passed, and I was in Florida with my waiting to see my grandparents, and I was like, you know what, I've got like an hour to kill, I'll stop at Barnes & Noble, and they had a copy of The Road. Now, it has since been thrown on the floor by a small child, and you can see a small wrinkle in the cover. I'm not in love with that, but yeah, we will see. I then, everybody's been telling me, and Mike's been talking about Blake Crouch. And I was like, where do I want to start with Blake Crouch? I don't want to necessarily read Dark Matter. It may be good. Recursion, all of those. Those weren't really appealing to me. What was appealing to me was Pines. Now, I did get this copy of Pines off of Pango, and I don't know if you can see it, but this is marked all up. But I do have Wayward, and I do have Pines to jump into this. I do need to pick up the third book. I do plan on picking up the third book, but these editions are out of print. They've been replaced with like a TV one or something like that. So I need to find an original copy to then make my collection whole again. I don't know why I said that. I don't feel good about doing that. And then, of course, we've got Swan Song. Now, this one I could also blame, I think, on Patrick. But we're going to blame Mike for it because it's Robert McCammon. And yeah, this one is big. It's huge. My only gripe, and of course, this is me just being neurotic, is same cover, different size book. I don't know why you do this. Stop doing this. This is not good. This is not good book practice. Like, I mean, this one's Saga Press and this one's Pocket Books, so maybe that has something to do with it. But like when I was buying them online, the pictures looked identical, and then they are not identical. But it's something I'm gonna have to live with. So yeah. That's the end of the section of I Blame Mike. Next, we're going to do the section with my mother-in-law. And these are the books that I kind of kept from the books that we were getting rid of from her house. Now, this is the edition that I replaced. This is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, and this is the illustrated edition. It's got this nice deckled edge, it's got French flaps, and it's illustrated by Dame Darcy. And essentially, I was just kind of scrolling through, I was flipping through, I shouldn't say scrolling, I was flipping through the book, just because I'd heard various people talk about it. I was like, oh, I've never actually held a copy of the book in my hand. And I read, I think the first 2 pages, and I was like, oh, I mean, yeah, it's gothic romance, but this does sound interesting, so why not? Then, of course, making my friend Evie happy, there was a copy of Barnes & Noble's classic, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I've been meaning to pick this up forever, and I figured for free, why not? It's Evie's favorite book. It's the original sci-fi book, and I was like, okay, fine. I will add this to the collection and hopefully get to it sometime in the next 20 years. Then my cousins have been recommending to me Ernest Hemingway for the last 5 years. And there was a copy of Farewell to Arms. And I think this is like a World War I story. But I was like, okay, fine. I've never read Hemingway. And this is a pretty good one to start with, I think. So I picked that up. Then this is Rebecca. And if I said it like that, Rebecca, you can blame Alan from the Library of Alexandria for Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca being in my hands. And I know Alan read this a long time ago. He really enjoyed it. And he changed the way that the name is pronounced to Rebecca. And so I'm adding that to the list because Alan enjoyed it so much. This is one I would not have repurchased, but it was one of my favorite books as a just kind of tween, I guess is the word I'm looking for, and that is Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. I don't really like the author as a person, but I have loved this book my entire life, and so I figured just for nostalgia's sake, I would take her copy of Ender's Game and add it to my collection. It's a really great book by a terrible human being. And then we have got East of Eden by John Steinbeck. And again, deckled edge, French flap, sucker for the French flap. I'm coming to like deckled edges more and more and more. What I thought was funny was there was a bookmark in here from Borders about the release of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. So I thought that was fantastic. But I figured, East of Eden is supposed to be, the only Steinbeck I remember reading is Of Mice and Men. And East of Eden is a big one, and it's one I've heard thrown around a lot. I was like, okay, why not? And then I could have thrown this in the Blame Mike pile as well, because of he was recently talking about Alice in Wonderland, and I think he said it's his wife's favorite book or something like that. But she had a copy of the complete works of Lewis Carroll, which does have Alice in Wonderland and all that stuff in it. And this is a big one, so I don't know if I'll keep it forever. This also has a Borders bookmark in it. Just says Borders Rewards. So you can tell that this was purchased quite a long time ago because Borders has been out of business for 10 years, if not more. Sad, cry face. Let's move on to the review copies. Ooh, come here, don't fall. All right. So I must have agreed to review this one a while ago or expressed some interest in it because it sounds like something I would be interested in. This is Lessons in Bird Watching by Honey Watson, and this was sent to me by Angry Robot, and this is basically a sci-fi. It says, file under Timing Is All, Amateur Heroics, Body of God, and Bird Song. So, great cover. It's a sci-fi book. I don't know a whole lot about it, but Lessons in Bird Watching is a darkly comic and politically charged novel set in a post-Earth future while nihilists, zealots, monarchs, and revolutionaries all compete for the right to bend reality. So that sounds interesting, and that's probably why I agreed to do it. Then we've got A Deed of Dreadful Note by Patricia Meredith. I have read this one. Thank God something in this book haul. Actually, there's a few books I've already read, but this is A Deed of Dreadful Note by Patricia D. Meredith. I have, not D. Meredith, D is her husband. I'm sorry, Andrew. I just combined y'all's names. The husband-wife author duo. This is Patricia Meredith. Her husband is Andrew D. Meredith. I don't know why I threw the D in your name, Patricia. I'm so sorry. But I have interviewed the author. I was a beta reader for this one. I love this one. You can check out the interview right there. I've interviewed her like 3 times. Then I was sent by Michael R. Miller. We have got the Song of Chaos Book 1 and Book 2. We have Ascendant and Unbound. And this first came to my attention fully from my friend Tori from Tori Talks. And these were kindly sent to me by the author. Gorgeous covers. I've heard this is the epitome of dragon riding fantasy. So good. Book 3 just came out, and I will be picking that one up as well to add to the collection. And then this one is one I've been wanting to read for a long time. A long time. Now, I wish I had picked up the special edition by the Broken Binding. I didn't. I have regrets. But this is Pillars of Peace, The Look of a King by Tom Dumbrell. This is book 1. He kindly sent this to me. It is signed. Thank you so much, Tom. I really appreciate it. I will be picking up books 2 and 3. They're already on my Amazon wish list, so that is good to go. But I love it. I've already read, I think, the first chapter, and I really enjoyed the prose, the writing, and everything. Then I was sent these 2 beauties by A.D. Landor. We have Angel Falling and Angel Rising. Angel Rising just came out. And what is the name of this series again? I don't remember the name of the series, but these are basically like fantasy angel noir. And they're really short, and I cannot wait to get into these because they're gorgeous covers. Noir is something that I really enjoy, so thank you, AD, for that. I then got the Hero Interviews, and this is by, there we go, Andy Ewington. There's like 3 different names on here, but essentially this is, if you look at it, it is a transcribed heroic interview. I think we're interviewing various heroes in this story, but I love heroic fantasy or like superhero fantasy, and so the hero interviews just sounds super interesting. We've got like a wizard right here. We've got an undead pirate. This skeletal dude, this elf right here. Oh, there's more on the back. So I'm imagining this is just going to be hilarious, and when we've got this person transcribing these interviews. So, heroes, you can't swing a cat without hitting one. You can't even hatch a nefarious plan without some adventuring party invading your dungeon to thwart you. So it stands to reason that they're a force for good. That sounds super interesting. Then, okay, we have got, I'm going to label these as gifts. Now, funny story is I have 2 copies of Dawn of Wonder by Jonathan Renshaw. Now, essentially, what ended up happening here is I went to the Half Price Books for the first time in forever, and I saw this on the shelf. Now, my buddy T from An Erudite Adventure had interviewed the author, I think like sometime last year, and this is the first time I'd seen it out in the wild. So I picked it up, and I like messaged him. I was like, hey, look what I just picked up at my local bookstore. And he was like, oh, cool. And like earlier last week, he was like, hey, can I like get your address to send you a book? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Like, here you go. And then this shows up. And so he thought that the book that I had showed him was the book that he had sent me. And it turns out that just after a year after the interview, he decided to send me the book that I had just purchased while I was thinking of him. And it was a hilarious happenstance. One of these is going on Pango Books. I believe it is going to be this edition because this one is the one I picked up at the bookstore, and this is the one that T sent me. So thank you, T. That was hilarious. When we finally realized what had happened, it was hysterical. I then got the 3rd book in the Rune War Saga by J.D.L. Russell. This is The Stone of Iron and Omen. I love this cover. It looks really good. I'm excited to jump into J.D.L. Russell. I just haven't quite gotten to it yet, but this was sent to me by my friend and patron, Doug. Thank you so much. He also sent me the old cover version of Bob the Wizard, which Bob the Wizard has gotten a brand new cover after the whole cover controversy. You can check that out right there. Fantastic new cover, but I do have this on my shelf, and this is by M.V. Prindle. So thank you so much, Doug. I really appreciate it. Then, of course, Nico sent me these 3 books, and this is the Ringsworn Trilogy by Howard Andrew Jones, and I have shown you book 3, which is When the Goddess Wakes. Book 2 is Upon the Flight of the Queen, and book 1 is For the Killing of Kings. I'm very excited to read these. These are more like heroic fantasy, sword and sorcery type of deal. My only complaint with these physical copies is if I show you the spine, why is this up here when the other two are down here? Like, it wasn't that hard of a thing. And I'm not yelling at you, Howard. I'm yelling at St. Martin's Press. Like, that, what you have here is a failure of design. But other than that, fantastic covers. Fantastic covers. Beautiful, gorgeous. I can't wait to get into these because Nico read them, really enjoyed them, and wanted me to experience it as well. Then I was at my grandfather's, and he's 90, so he's downsizing just so that, like, in the event the worst should happen, like, people don't have to, like, pick through his things and, like, take stuff to donation, so he's just giving stuff away. And he happened to have this. This is the Easton Press edition of Herman Melville's Moby Dick. This is illustrated. It's got the gilded edges. I think this is from, like, the late 70s is when he acquired this, or at least that's the date on the inside of the page of the, the copyright page or something like that. Moby Dick. Yeah, it says 1977 by the Easton Press right here. So I do have that. I have read Moby Dick, but it has been going on 15 years, and so I need a refresher. But yeah, I'm very excited because I remember pretty much nothing about this story. All right, now we're going to move on to my irresponsible purchases, which, now that I think about it, haven't been like super bad, but it's been bad. I need to be better. I need to do better. I will be better. All right, so I need to move this big old stack over here. Now, I've been slowly collecting these, and this is the Lynn Llewellyn's series, and I think this is the Night Runner series. This is book number 4. They completely changed art style on the front, but there are 7 books in this series, and now I have, I believe, the first 4. This is Shadow Rising. I know nothing about the series, but I found it on Pango, and I was like, you know what? It's a series I've already got 3 books in. I might as well snag the 4th. Then, of course, I placed an order because of the Brothers Gwen through the Broken Binding. And if you see right here, you can kind of see what this is. I saw this edition. It's an historical fiction book, but I had to have it. And they always kill it with the packaging. And we have got right there, I'm seeing it for the first time, Dan Jones, Essex Dogs. This is signed by the author. And yeah, I remember them talking about this. I've been excited to read it. Funny story is, as soon as I bought it, I went to Half Price Books and they had the US editions, but they don't have this gorgeous digitally, I think it's like sprayed edge or whatever, digitally printed edge. They're fantastic. And yeah, I'm excited to read this story because the Brothers Gwen highly recommend it. I can speak today. Whew. All right, then I did 2 things that, I told you I had canceled out my GSFF subscription, and I didn't know if I was going to receive Scarlet. I knew I was going to receive Perilous Times. This is by Thomas D. Lee. Really cool edges. This is kind of a Arthurian, Arthur in the modern era style of tale. And yeah, it's supposed to be kind of funny. And then I also, before my subscription expired, I got Scarlet, which is supposed to be like a vampiric retelling, and I'm going to get this wrong. I think it's like the Scarlet Pimpernel, or I don't know how it's supposed to be pronounced. Like, it's in there, and I just can't, I can't actually say it. But this is set in 1793 with some vampires in France. Then on Pango, I found an amazing deal that I couldn't pass up. This is Red Sister, the American U.S. hardcover by Mark Lawrence. This is first book of the Ancestor. This is the first one. This I got for $20. Now, this is a very hard hardcover to get a hold of. When I first started collecting, I wanted, this is one of the first series I read by Mark Lawrence. Actually, this was the first series I read by Mark Lawrence, and one of the first series I read when I was heavily getting back into books. And this was $70 to $90. So when I found it for $20, I snagged it instantly. And then because I got it, I also then picked up Grey Sister and Holy Sister. So I have the whole Book of the Ancestor trilogy. I have Mylar wrapped it to protect it, and I am very happy to have that in the collection. I've already read all 3, so no worries there on adding to my TBR. I've done that plenty by myself. Then I picked up a physical copy of Jacqueline Hagan's The Wickwire Watch. I picked up the ebook in the last book haul, and then I just realized there's a second book out, so I've added that to my Amazon wishlist. I can't wait to get a hold of that. And then I believe the third book is coming out. This one is one that is a highly anticipated read. I read the first chapter for a vlog I did with Tori from Tori Talks, and the first chapter blew my socks off. It was just so interesting, so engaging. I just wanted to read it, so I had to pick up the physical copy as well. And then my friend and patron Palmer Pickering highly recommended this series to me. She said she loved it. So she got me the first book, and then I decided to go on Pango and get the second and third book. I believe the second book is Behemoth, and the third book is Goliath. These are written by Scott Westfield and are illustrated hardcovers. So I am reading the first book in July, so we will see if the series resonates with me. And if it does, I have the next two to read. And then finally, we have 2 books left to talk about. I am talking really fast to get through this book haul because it's a lot of books. I finally got a hardcover edition of Different Seasons. If you know, I had a mass market paperback that I got from my mother-in-law, but all my Stephen King is in hardcover, so I was able to find a fairly decent copy of Different Seasons, which is a very old book, and Viking old hardcovers, like the dust jackets, always tend to fall apart, and I found this for a pretty good deal. But this one I got on eBay, and I just absolutely love the way the physical edition works. That's a novella collection, and I'm very excited because I remember when I first started watching Mike's channel, that's Mike's fault as well. When I first started watching Mike's channel, he was doing his Through the Multiverse, and he was doing the novellas one a month for Different Seasons. And then I found The War of the Flowers by Tad Williams in a full-size hardcover at my local half-price books. I've only ever seen this one in mass market paperback, so when I saw the full-size hardcover, I couldn't pass it up. I had to have it in my collection. And that there ends my irresponsible book haul. I don't know how I'm going to make this all fit. We're going to see what happens, but I'll, of course, report back to you if it doesn't fit. That's all I've really got for you this month, guys. Let me know how your book hauls went in June. Were you more responsible than I am? Answers are probably yes. That's all I really got for you. So, till next time, peace out, stay magical, bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons.